we have these digital experiences, but once that moment passes, I mean, will people want to go back? How do you keep them interested? Do we continue to change the content?
Yep.
How do we make it sustainable so it actually doesn't get just thrown away and forgotten in the long term? One of the saddest things I think is a lot of installations, regardless if it's lighting or structure or whatnot, a lot of the materials get thrown away after its use, and I think it's quite sad. But I like to think that the community now has grown, the lighting industry has grown, and people are more well educated in how to become more sustainable. And I think that's a good thing, and we hope to continue to reach that.
Welcome back to the Virtual Lighting Design Community Podcast, a global platform that empowers, inspires, educates, and connects the lighting design community. This podcast is brought to you by our premium supporters Aero Hospitality Lighting, Creative Lighting Asia, Urco, the Signify Lighting Academy, and Philix Lighting. Here's your regular dose of light inspiration. For anyone wanting a visual experience, please do check out our YouTube channel, where you will find the video version of this episode, as well as many other great interviews and presentations by our industry thought leaders. Our YouTube handle is @vld.community. And of course, it wouldn't be complete without mentioning our online platform where the magic happens. Join us and your fellow lighting enthusiasts, where you can gain access to the complete array of presentations, interviews, stories, ongoing conversations, a host of resources, and much more. So please do check that out and explore the community. Now, without further ado, let's head straight into the episode. Enjoy! Good afternoon, my name is Ingmar Klaassen, signing in for the Virtual Lighting Design Community. We're here in Dubai for Light Middle East 2024. I have a special guest with me today, Eugenia Cheng. Why don't you introduce yourself, Eugenia, to our audience? They're probably familiar with you already after some presentation you did. But
Yes, hello everybody. My name is Eugenia Cheng. I am the founder and principal of a lighting design consultancy studio in Hong Kong, Light Origin Studio. I, by nature, I studied interior design, but I have been practicing lighting for the past 17 years.
Wonderful. Let's talk a little bit about you. So you're based in Hong Kong, you said.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about the work that you do with Light Origin Studio.
So we mainly do a lot of small to medium-sized projects, and we mainly concentrate on a lot of from high-end residential to hospitality projects to F&B and commercial sector. But we also would like to do a lot of more community-based work.
Okay.
Things that we can give back to the community. That'd be something that we are looking forward to do. We're currently working on a church project, which is great because that opens up a new sector for us, and we're very much looking forward to working on that project.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
You said to me earlier you weren't always in lighting, right? You went from interior design into lighting. How did you make that journey?
Well, I studied interior design, and halfway through, I think, in my second or third year, I discovered lighting and how interesting how lighting can create spaces without actual physical form. And I think being the sort of artist in me, because I studied arts and graphics when I was young in high school, that really appealed to me. The poeticness of lighting is where you can create spaces without actually physically having spaces.
Yes.
So I think that was the moment when I realized that's what I want to do.
That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So now we're here in Dubai. We're at Light Middle East. You arrived a couple of days before the event. Now on Monday, I believe you were part of the judging proceedings.
Yes.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about how you felt that went. I know it was a long day. But it's nice to hear your experience about that.
Okay. So that was my first time being a judge, so I was a little bit nervous.
Yes.
But the panel was great. Everyone was very nice, and we saw a lot of interesting projects. And actually, I was very, very inspired because we don't really get to do a lot of projects, obviously, in the Middle East, or we're not very much exposed to the projects in the Middle East. So it was quite an eye opener.
Okay.
We met a lot of the entries. We got to ask them very personal questions, and that was really fantastic, because when you're just reading text, you don't really get a sense of what the design is like.
Exactly.
But when you actually talk to the designers, you get a real good sense of it, and that actually made me sort of appreciate those projects even more.
Yeah, it's actually the same as others have been saying as well. That's been a really nice touch this year.
Really appreciated that. That was a wonderful thing to happen.
So you're also involved with ThinkLight. I think you spoke earlier today. What was that like? What was your contribution, I guess?
So my session today was Enlightened Futures Art and Entertainment, and how light and lighting is part of it. And so I talked about some of the projects that we've done to demonstrate as such.
Yeah.
Because usually when we talk about arts and entertainment, we normally think about immersive.
That's right.
Sound, visuals, and all that. But being an architectural lighting designer, our work is mainly static. So how does that fit into the equation? And I think it was very fun to talk about my journey of the project and to demonstrate the outcome. And I think I hope the audience liked it.
I was going to ask as well, because the theme of the event this year has a lot to do with being responsible as a lighting industry towards sustainability, circular economy. But you having done a talk on immersive lighting and entertainment, how does that fit into the equation in terms of being more responsible? From that point of view.
So in a lot of my work, we don't actually do a lot of immersiveness per se, as in motion or sound as such. So our sustainability also is based on architectural lighting. So of course, from that end, we always have to think about sustainability, how something is easy to maintain, is it easy to operate, and such. But one of the things that I talked about during my session was sustainability of the content.
Right.
For example, we have these digital experiences, but once that moment passes, I mean, will people want to go back? How do you keep them interested? Do we continue to change the content? How do we make it sustainable so it actually doesn't get just thrown away and forgotten in the long term?
And can it be recycled, I suppose?
Yes, for sure. One of the saddest things, I think, is a lot of installations, regardless if it's lighting or structure or whatnot, a lot of the materials get thrown away after its use, and I think that's quite sad. But I like to think that the community now has grown, the lighting industry has grown, and people are more well educated in how to become more sustainable. And I think that's a good thing, and we hope to continue to reach that.
Absolutely. Are there any of the talks that you've, I guess, attended when you were not speaking that maybe have perked your interest, or that inspired you in some way that's worth mentioning?
I think a lot of them were very interesting. All of them were interesting, in fact. I think...
Did any stand out to you?
Now you're just
throwing me a curveball.
Throwing me a curveball. I think one that really taught me a bit of inspired me was probably Lauren's.
Okay.
Lauren's talk at the very beginning about responsibility. And in the context, she started off the presentation by talking about when you've succeeded in one sector, you're about to fail in others. So if you, as an entrepreneur, if you do really well in business, but what you've sacrificed is maybe time with family and like other roles in your life. And that really hit me, because I started my own firm.
Yes.
And because I spent so much time at work, I also had to sacrifice other roles in my life.
Yeah.
And that also, she then talked about how that is related to the lighting industry, where you've succeeded in design, have you failed the budget? If you've succeeded in the budget, have you failed in the engineering? So that actually really stuck to me, and I think maybe because it was the first keynote, but I found that her presentation there's a lot of empathy in it, and so I think that is probably one of my most memorable ones.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Now, about the virtual lighting design community now, you've graced us with a wonderful presentation in Guangzhou last year, and I think you've been part of the community as well.
Yes.
What are your sort of, I guess, initial thoughts, or what are your impressions about, being part of that?
It's my daily read actually, and I get daily newsletters, or whenever the newsletter comes, I always read it.
Yes.
I love being involved. I mean, I love reading it, even though I'm not hugely involved in it. I love learning from other people, and I think VLDC has really done that, because people are allowed to post things that's from their opinion, and whether they're a graduate, whether they're a student, or somebody who's worked in the industry for a very long time, I felt that was it's very diverse, and you learn a lot from that.
Absolutely.
And so it's probably one of my favorite things to do in the morning when I get back to the office.
That's really nice to know.
Is to read. Yeah, and for sure. I'm not saying this because I'm here. I definitely met more people via the platform, and also just learning. And I thought that's wonderful. I mean, you can never stop
what's
learning.
Out there, right?
Exactly.
So we, as you mentioned, we do have a lot of younger people as well that are part of the platform. Is there anything, that I think you mentioned already what inspired you in here, but in your sort of daily life, or I guess in your work, that has inspired you, gets you out of bed in the morning? And secondly, what advice might you have for up-and-coming lighting designers?
Well, what gets me up in the morning is the fact that, we all have responsibilities, and when we have a project, I like to think that the client has entrusted us with a lot of trust.
Yeah.
And that actually gives me a lot of motivation, because they could have found somebody else, they could have collaborated with other designers, but they chose to collaborate with our team. So that really gets me going, because I'm excited to share ideas. I'm excited to meet them and talk and discuss. Whether we disagree on things, that's completely different. But the point is, they want to discuss. They want to have an opinion, which is great. So that's what keeps me going in my job. And the second thing, I would encourage young designers to keep asking questions. Don't be afraid, and try things out. If design is great, is always great on paper, but it's always good to practice it. If you want to see how something works, take some lights, do a little mock-up. Don't be afraid. Test it out. Yeah. Don't be afraid. There's no such thing as stupid question. I think that's how you go about it. You just need to keep asking questions, trying it out, and stay humble.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Eugenia, thank you so much for being part of coming down and having a chat with us and talking with us here to the community. And it's been a pleasure to actually meet you in person.
Yeah, finally. Yeah.
Finally, yes.
Yeah.
It's been virtually all this time, but really nice to catch up with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I'm sure we will catch up with you more in the future.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode and you've gained some insight or inspiration that you can take away or perhaps apply. If you enjoyed this episode, it is always appreciated if you could take a moment to share the podcast with your peers and friends, or leave a review on your favorite podcast app. Consider subscribing to the podcast and our YouTube channel to stay up to date with our latest content. Do check out our online platform as well at vld.community. If you would like more, why not go back and listen to some of our previous episodes and hear more from our thought leaders. Thanks for listening, and we will be back with more great presentations or interviews very soon. Till next time.